Hey, alright, so new video. Uh, when you get down to the fact that, okay, I've checked out all this stuff, a lot of the stuff that people say the government's doing, I mean, I know 9/11, Iraq, Afghan war, all the stuff with Wall Street, it turns out it was true. It turns out it was true. So what else is true? You can go down a lot of avenues. I, for one, have gotten, I don't want to say obsessed, but I love studying ancient history. It's something I've always loved. My dad always would show me his National Geographic, and I love looking at the ancient structures in there, and I just picked it up and ran with it. And I love going back and studying ancient structures and ancient religions, all the religions, because if you just, I mean, nothing against religion. I mean, I'm not exactly a fan, but if it works for you, hey man, go for it, brother. If you just look at one and say, this is it, nothing else, then really you haven't learned anything. You haven't gone out and looked and searched and found the right thing. You've just found the first thing that came along. And I mean, how is that different than what happens with the news? I feel like that's the same thing. So I've been studying Buddhism, Hinduism, looked a little bit at Islam, Christianity. And really, when you get down to it, they all kind of say the same things. They're all just about, the nitty gritty of it, regardless of which God is which and who's who and what you're exactly supposed to do. It all comes down to love, love everyone around you, peace, and just coexisting. That's what it's about. That's what it's always been about. And if you want to get really, really out there, you can look into certain things like this is like going into the ancient astronaut theory, which I find extremely interesting, and there are a lot of evidence to say that it may be true. That's not to say there isn't a God. I totally believe that there is a force, a totally unexplainable force, whether it's a person, whether it's an entity, whether it's just the cosmos as a unit. There's something going on. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, you can, but I can't anymore. I just can't. There's something. I don't know what to call it. God, prime creator, the force. I don't know. I just know it's there. And when you look into all the ancient scriptures and all the ancient texts, you continually get stories that make you just turn your head and go, what? What are they talking about? Like I was reading the Aztecs when they described the beginning of the fourth world, the world we're apparently in now, or maybe it's the fifth, but sometimes I get confused. According to them, after the Great Flood, two men and a man and a woman were left, but they disobeyed one of the gods. This is in the Aztecs. They were turned into dogs, and there were no humans left. So what this one god did, he came, and what he did was, he brought in. No, he flew down to the underworld, got the bones of the ancients, the bones, poured his blood onto them, and created a new race. Excuse me? That sounds like he took the bone marrow of someone, combined it with his DNA, and created a new life form. I mean, we can speculate all you want, but I find that very interesting. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I love to speculate. I've been reading a lot of things like I forget his name now. It's Graham Hancock. He's got this book, Fingerprints of the Gods, which is extremely interesting. Where you can look at all the ancient pyramids and people all over the world, separate, at different points on the globe, making pyramids all over the place. I mean, Teotihuacan, Giza, the same dimensions, the same astronomical alignment, which they finally admitted it actually is aligned to the constellation Orion. I mean, how did they know this? And we can say it's aliens, And we can say, my personal opinion, I think it's a combo of higher beings, which we do not understand ourselves, and a forgotten civilization that was very advanced. You can call it Atlantis, you can call it Lemuria, Mu, whatever have you. But something is missing in our history. It's flat out missing. Because there's no way that they could have created. I mean, maybe they could have, but I don't know if you know this. Buildings slowly sink into the ground. The White House, I believe, has sunk several, I think 13 inches in its 230 something year period. It may be a little less than that, actually. The Pyramid of Giza, 2 inches. Or maybe, I'm sorry, it's at least an inch or less than that. It's insane. And this thing is thousands of years old. And then if you go and look at the Sphinx shows sign of water damage. And more specifically, rain. And the last time it seriously rained that much to cause such damage was around the time of the last ice age, when there's not supposed to be any civilization. We've got places like Göbekli Tepe in eastern Turkey, which is 12,000 years old. It's got pictures of flamingos and jaguars and Turkey, in the middle of Turkey. These 9 foot tall pillars weighing tens of tons, carved out of these impossible to cut rocks. I mean, we've got places like that all over the place. Pumapunku, Teotihuacan, just this stuff that's carved out of these megalithic stones that are just, we would strain us to recreate these things. I don't think these guys just created this for fun. It's insane to think that. And if you want more proof, you can go back and look at the ancient scriptures of, say, the Mahabharata, which is basically the Hindu Bible, where it describes, among other things, floating cities in the firmament above the earth that eventually went to war with each other. It also describes flying machines that use electromagnetics. Hitler went after this stuff. I mean, I'm sorry. Sometimes I just go off. But it's really fascinating. Hitler seemed to believe this thing was true. And you can go on and say, yes, Hitler was deeply into the occult. Blavatsky, I forget her last name. All that jazz. Hitler thought white people were aliens. I don't know. But it's very fascinating. And we don't learn this stuff in school. You don't learn that Hitler was deeply into the cult. You don't learn that he was being bred for basically the new Christhood, as his guy basically said to him, who was bringing him up. You don't learn about the Vril Society. You don't learn about Foo Fighters or the Battle of LA or any of these other things, or Vimanas. It's hidden from you. And unless you take the initiative to find it, you may never.